Told you it wasn't going to be easy. Just got done watching the game maybe 20 minutes ago. Got up and took my dog for a walk right after it ended, just thinking about everything. And well, we get to play another game next week, and that's about the most optimistic thing you can say right now about this team because that was a damn trial, man. And for us to come away with a win in that game, I'm not going to say the Vikings deserve to win, but I certainly can't say we deserve to win either. We, scoreless in the first three quarters. Offense can't do shit the whole game. Um, it's just crazy the stuff that can happen in a successful season. The breaks you need to go your way in order to win playoff games sometimes. And so let's just go through it. Talk about what I can talk about. Seahawks win 10-9. Huge shout out to the motherfucking defense because they played their asses off in this game. They gave up 4 scoring drives. All of them ended in field goal attempts. One of them obviously missed at the end. And the Vikings only scored on drives where they got good field position to start. Every time they had to work hard for an offensive drive, defense shut them down. So it wasn't perfect. I'm not saying it was perfect. Still not very many turnovers, just the one. Still not a ton of quarterback pressure, although that got a little better as the game went on. But you cannot argue with allowing 9 points and less than 180 yards of offense, or right around 180 yards of offense. I mean, these guys balled out. Defense, all those guys deserve to be MVP. Michael Bennett playing through an injury in that fourth quarter, balling out before and after the injury. Cliff Avrill's stupid penalty to help the Vikings get a field goal, but he got a couple of good pressures and sacks at the end. Bobby Wagner, beast game. KJ Wright, monster game. Bruce Irvin got a half a sack, first time he's gotten to the quarterback in a while. Richard Sherman picked up a penalty early in the game, but he came around and he didn't give up much in this game. Jeremy Lane with the monster play on that deep throw from Bridgewater late in the fourth quarter. Just a real good game by the defense. Maybe they're not an A+, but they're definitely an A. Especially late in that game when they kept getting the ball out of Minnesota's hands and giving the offense a chance to put the game away, which brings me to the offense. Can't say the same for those guys. And I know it's cold. I know the Vikings have a real good defense. I know I said it was going to be harder, but we played so bad today, I got to reevaluate everything that I ever thought about these guys because this second half of the season, these last 8 games, I guess you would say 9 games really, or 7 games when you really think about it. Most part, they've been balling out of their minds. They've been playing great. Today, we saw massive regression. Same thing we saw a few weeks ago against the Rams, but I chalked that up to saying it was the Rams. Now this week, am I really going to say it was the cold? I don't think it's that simple. So the game plan today I thought was pretty horrendous. Russell Wilson threw several deep shots today, and it became apparent that he was not going to be able to throw those deep shots in these conditions, and we continued to try it. And the only success we had on those plays was one where Tyler Lockett drew a PI flag. And I know I said before this game that I wanted to throw deep balls and try to get big plays, but it became apparent pretty quickly that Wilson was not going to be able to get it far enough out there in order to make those plays work. Everything he threw was underthrown. So I think the game plan was bad. I should have probably been more read option. I know we ran some read option and it worked pretty well. I think there should have been more. Should have pushed that intermediate passing game a little more. It felt like we switched up our game plan completely from what had been working so well for us the last 7 games. We had worked so well with pushing the ball down the field, hitting receivers, 15, 20 yards down the field, that intermediate to deep area. Today, we ran 2 bubble screens to Doug Baldwin, who never does shit with those bubble screens. We had a 4th and 13 where we went for it and threw it to Fred Jackson 5 yards down the field. And Fred Jackson's not going to make anybody miss, so, why are you even trying that shit? it was just a really weird game plan. We ran so many give up plays, and this offense has shown the ability to pick up third and long or second and long. So I don't know why you abandoned that so easily. I would have put the pressure on the Vikings defense a little more. And I thought the game plan today was really bad, and it's forced me to reevaluate how I feel about Bevel, and next week's going to be big. I know a big part of it was Marshawn Lynch's ass being out there for all week during practice and us assuming he was going to be out there, and then at the last second he says, I can't go. But to me, this is Russell Wilson's team anyway. And speaking of which, I'll get on Wilson because, yeah, the game plan was bad, but so was the execution. Big part of that comes on the quarterback. I thought Wilson stunk today. He had one big play, the botch snap, fall down, get up, throw it to Tyler Lockett, nearly get a touchdown. That's the play of the game. Basically, that's the game that won it. That's the play that won it for us because that was our only touchdown drive and the only touchdown scored all game. But other than that, inaccurate. He threw a pick on fourth down, which whatever. It's fourth down anyway. But um, almost threw another pick that probably would have cost us the game with less than 5 minutes left in the fourth. Took a couple of sacks, escaped a couple of sacks by some miracle. Credit to him for that. That's the one thing I can say about his game today. I thought he did do a pretty good job on stuff like that. But, he was running around in the pocket. When the pocket was contained, he was just retreating on some of those plays. Same shit I saw earlier this season. Same shit I see against the Rams every damn year. I don't want to see that shit. It seems like there's a blueprint for these defensive ends to contain Russell Wilson in the pocket, and he'll just run backwards until the play's dead. So, yeah, Wilson, bad game. Even at the end of the game, we've got the ball with, 4 minutes left and 2 minutes left. All we got to do is get one first down, and we can really start draining this clock. 3 and out, give the Vikings a chance at the end. That's on the quarterback to execute. But the other guy I really want to call out here on this offense that I thought was a huge problem in this game was Patrick Lewis. Not just at blocking. I thought, the offensive line as a whole blocked mediocre. Not the best, but I didn't think they were terrible or anything. I thought the offensive line was okay. But Patrick Lewis snapped the fucking ball. There was a play on we had 4th and 3. 4th and 3 early in the third quarter. We were going for it. The Vikings defense had no idea what the hell they were doing. They were subbing people on and off the field. It would have been the easiest conversion we'd have all day. Patrick Lewis doesn't snap the ball, and we almost get a delay of game penalty and have to take a timeout. First half, multiple times where he wasn't snapping the ball and, didn't snap the ball, and we got either a delay or we had to take a timeout. What's up with that shit? I don't know what that is. I don't know if he's dumb. I don't know if he isn't getting the signals. I don't know if he can't hear. But I'm not really hearing any excuses right now. He also had the bad snap that somehow Russell Wilson turned into a 35-yard gain. So, I'll put that on him too. Just a bad game by Patrick Lewis. And he's a guy who may or may not be here next year. You got to do better than that next week if you want to be here next year. Other than that, the receivers played all right. Doug Baldwin, 5 catches, caught a touchdown, had a good game. Tyler Lockett, 1 catch, but he made it count. Biggest play of the game. Fred Jackson had a couple nice catches. It was just a slow game by the offense. I mean, the weather was a factor, obviously. Everything felt sluggish and like it was in slow motion. But, I can only make that excuse so much for these guys. Both teams had to play in it. Obviously, the Vikings offense had problems too, but I don't know. I expected more, even with the extreme conditions. So we move on. Thanks to the defense, everybody. I mean, Frank Clark knocked down a pass on that last drive. I think it was Rubin recovered the fumble. Cam Chancellor getting beat in coverage on a couple plays, but he makes up for it by forcing a fumble. Lets us kick the game-winning field goal. Defense, offense should be buying you dinner rest of the week. That's all you can say. So, as for the other side of things, as for the Vikings, I only know one Vikings fan, really, Dan Long on Twitter, and he's on YouTube as well. He'll probably see this video. I know some other Vikings fans on Twitter, but not personally or nothing. I'll say this first off. It wasn't the worst loss of the weekend. That still belongs to the Bengals for finding 8 different ways to blow that game, or at least 5. So you guys don't have the worst loss of the weekend. And, like I already said in this video, we didn't really deserve to win that game. I don't think the Vikings really deserved to win that game either. Both teams' offenses just couldn't do anything. Credit to Bridgewater for leading a drive at the end of the game that should have been good for the game-winning field goal. Something Wilson could not do at the end of the game. I'll say that. Calling you out a little bit. I will say this, though. That field goal, obviously very lucky for us that he missed that because it was nothing that we really did. But I will say this. As far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much karma for that bullshit pass interference call on Cam Chancellor earlier in that drive. I mean, Kyle Rudolph runs into Cam Chancellor, initiates the contact, and Cam gets flagged. You miss me with that shit. So, yeah, at the end of the day, what else? Oh, Christine Michael, I thought he played all right today, too. I'll give him some love, too. It was not a great game for him by any means, but he made some good plays out there. And I'll give him a little bit of credit, but got to be better next week. And props to the Vikings. They played a great game out there in the extreme cold. Props to the Vikings fans who went out there in it for 3.5 hours and had to watch their team miss a chip shot to win. NFL playoffs can be rough. So we got one more game to watch. I got the national championship tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it all. Just going to take a deep breath. We won. Moving on. Got to do a lot better next week. But I don't feel too bad about next week. And I'll talk more about that later. So see you guys later. Props to the defense. They play that way. We have a chance to win every game. Get your shit together, offense. We're going to need more from you next week.